What is going on, FCS Fans Nation? Welcome to FCS Sunday, the overtime. This one's going to be a weird one. This one I'm not going to be super proud of. Uh, I'm actually moving tomorrow. I actually had to unpack my computer to do this. That's why things look a little wonky. I don't think this thing's even working. I think you're getting my webcam audio, but I made a commitment and I'm going to do it. Just like some of these teams made a commitment to playing this spring, and they should have done it. But we'll run through our top 25 for those that don't know. This is FCS Sundays, the overtime, where we recap the Stats Performs top 25 and how they did this week. So this one's not going to be pretty. It's probably going to be quick. I did catch a good amount of these games, but the games that I don't catch, I usually like to watch all the replay and look at the game track. I have not been able to get to that because, like I said, life moments right now, right? But we'll start it off. Number 25, the Maine Bears did not play, followed by number 24, New Hampshire postponed, followed by number 23, Southeastern Louisiana did not play. Exciting way to start the top 25 this week, but it's the reality of playing a spring season. At number 22, you have the Uni Panthers. They got a win at home against Western Illinois, the Leathernecks, 34-20. So a 14-point win. Probably not what a team like UNI wanted. UNI, a team that was top 5 coming into the season, has really fallen, getting the bad end of having to face North Dakota, I believe South Dakota State and North Dakota State, something like that. They've had an unreal run of it. And here they are, 14-point win. Should keep them in the top 25, maybe get them back into the teens. Probably not, but just maybe. Surprise team, Richmond, 3-0. They get a win 31-17 versus Elon. So Richmond, the Spiders, kind of sneakily becoming a relevant contender to possibly. We'll see. There's a lot of drama around the not playing James Madison last week, but people don't realize how the CAA is set up this year. Those teams, they're scheduled to play, I believe, next week or in 2 weeks again. So Richmond will get their shot at James Madison, and we'll touch on James Madison later in the show. But good for the Spiders. They're undefeated right now. Big win over who had kind of been that number 2 team in that general area of the CAA for a while. So Richmond looking to be competitive again. Number 20, FU all day. Furman did not play. Number 19, kind of another surprise team, undefeated here. The Murray State Racers get a win against the other directional Illinois team, Eastern Illinois. This time 41-27. So they will remain undefeated. There's the surprise. Wow, tongue-tied today too. There are some surprises here. You look at Delaware. They were able. We'll get to this. A lot of these teams that weren't really getting the love at the beginning of the season are undefeated and making runs here. When folks, we're only like less than a month away from selection show. I think it's in 3-4 weeks. Yeah, I believe it's in 4 weeks. So you're looking at Selection Sunday. There's some of these teams have like 2 more games. So it's really nail hits the road. I know it seems like it's been a quick season because it was winter and now it's spring and things are getting nice. And you're like, man, I'm so glad we have football on and March Madness. And you've got this version of March Madness now. And it's happening. Number 18, Rhode Island loses at number 11, Delaware, 28-35. I did not catch any of this game. You guys will learn this show. I want to be able to, at least that's the whole point of it, be able to see or at least follow all 25 of the top 25 teams so that I can give you an accurate portrayal about what happened in these games. I'll be honest, like I said, with life stuff going on, this episode is not going to be the best, but I just judging this one like you guys, me reading the score to you. Rhode Island was one of those teams we were wondering if they could be frisky, frisky, but we brought it. It felt like we brought it up in the show last week, the regular FCS Fans Nation show. This is that team that really is going to have a chance to prove it. Delaware had done everything in their power to look like a real power in the CAA North, and Rhode Island had 2 surprise upset overtime wins. I believe on the show we all called it, you just take the team who won all their games pretty handily and not have to go overtime. That's what they did. 7 points was the difference here. Rhode Island still, by all means, a good team, just maybe Delaware on a different level. Number 17, our other game of the week this week, Nichols at home gets the win against number 13, Incarnate Word. And this one, if you weren't any wiser, you'd think this was the NIT or something. It's a 75-45 win. That means I believe Nichols has scored over 50 points in all but one of their games this year. So just absolutely insane offense. Incarnate Word, like we said, actually ranked higher in this game, actually favored in this game. Nichols was a 4-point dog. took that line. Thank you, Nichols and the Colonels. Big win. Nichols really, I felt, got unfairly blasted after their similar style loss to Sam Houston, who's proving to just possibly be one of the top 3 to 4 teams in the entire nation. They fell all the way down to number 17, though being 4-1. I thought it was unfair. I think this result shows that it was unfair. They probably deserve to be around that like 12-6 range. If I was doing my poll, 17 was too far, and Incarnate Word was too high at 13. Number 16, Villanova did not play. Now we have, oh, God, we're getting into it. It was gotcha weekend in the Big Sky, everybody. Number 15, UC Davis, you'll catch a trend here, gets a win at home versus Idaho State, 31-27. This was a big, close game. UC Davis never really able to pull away. Freshman Lance Larson had a great game, but just Idaho State, a team you expect, a number 15 UC Davis, a team who felt like they've been getting disrespected in the polls, a team that felt they should be higher in the polls. This is not the performance that gets you any higher in the polls. Idaho State, though, having 2 impressively close games against the top 2 of the ranked Big Sky teams, obviously losing on basically similar fashion to Eastern Washington just a couple weeks ago. They lose here again. This time on the road at UC Davis. So Idaho State, frisky. They get Idaho next week, so that one should be interesting to see if the Bengals are a little bit hungry. They won't make the playoffs, but some interesting things being built down there in Pocatello. Number 14, one of those just feel-good surprise stories. How do you root against it? But yet I have. Not rooted against it, that is, but just not bought the hype. But you have number 14, 5-0, VMI, what I consider their first real, all right, I believe it game. They went on the road at Wofford, who was a team that was getting top 10 nods to begin the season, 36-31. That's a big win on the road. Nothing more you want from the Keydets there. I still don't know if they're a top 10 team, but at this point, I mean, how do you leave them out? I honestly don't have that answer for you. I feel like this result, they're going to be 5. I don't know if what my, once again, weird week. I don't know if the rankings I have here or records are after these games or before. But either way, VMI is either 5-0 or 6-0. I feel like you got to put them in the top 10, right? I'd like to hear the argument why not, other than the good old eye test. Number 13, Incarnate Word, lost on the road at number 17, Nichols. We kind of touched on it. Where does this put them? That big of a loss. They should probably be behind Nichols' spot at 17. That's what I would say. I think they proved that they are significantly further than the 17th team in the country, who I just said I think is more around the 12th to 6th best team. But I think ahead of 20, probably 20 to probably 17 is probably a good spot for Incarnate Word. If I was graced with the ability to vote in an official poll that's not just mine on my head on the show. Number 12, Eastern Washington. The one that did not have a gotcha weekend. Let's put it that way in the Big Sky. Big win. Bo Baldwin's return game, 62-10. I mean, when Gunnar Talkington's throwing touchdowns, Eastern is rolling. Baldwin, and he's a few years off, it looks. This was not could be good, then challenge in year 2, then be actual contender in year 3. This looks like he's 3 years out from having a contending team down there in San Luis Obispo. Number 11, Delaware, stays undefeated. Big win at number 18, Rhode Island. We touched on this. The Blue Hens just keep moving up. It's weird. You're going to start seeing some of those old traditional powers that we've kind of lost in this North Dakota State dynasty have creeped their way back in to being relevant teams. Delaware, an example. We'll touch on Sam Houston. Some teams that were very relevant in the early 2010s and faded in that back half, with teams like James Madison really making a push to become relevant. Then here you are. You've got some old blue bloods trying to get back into the race here. And we are in our top 10, ladies and gentlemen. And it starts with nobody wants to be a top 10 team this year. That is absolutely obvious. The Southern Illinois Salukis lose at Bobby Petrino's Missouri State, 27-30. Missouri State takes the opening play of this game for a touchdown. That just goes to show Southern Illinois they just got kicked in the teeth early. They fought back, impressive. It goes to show, what does it show? It shows the Missouri Valley is just beating itself up. I mean, Southern Illinois, the team that absolutely put it to the Bison in week 2 of the season, had not looked good really since. They had a big loss last week to South Dakota State. They had a loss to Missouri State, who's still not ranked, but was getting enough votes to be about 27th in this week's poll. So they will be in the top 25, probably a top 20 team after this. And then you're going to have that same old argument that Southern Illinois has been a part of all season. Where does Missouri State go? If you drop Southern Illinois, how far do you drop them? Because they should be behind Missouri State now, right? Who I believe only has one loss on the season, and it was North Dakota State. So Missouri State all of a sudden becomes a very relevant player in the Missouri Valley, and Southern Illinois and UNI, two teams that everybody was very high on, looking like they're done. It's very interesting in the Missouri Valley. Moving on to number 9, Chattanooga loses. This was like 10-9 lose. Like, oh boy, you're going to get Delaware and Eastern in there for sure now, which is a flashback to the 2010 national title game right there. They're sitting at 11-12. Chattanooga loses to Mercer. I mean, this one was just it was wonky. That's the best way to say it. 35-28. Chattanooga just did not execute. Mercer, I don't even say they wanted it more. It just looked like Chattanooga just sleptwalked through this game. And at the end of the day, the score did just not turn up the Mocs' way. Kennesaw State did not play. Their game was postponed versus Gardner-Webb. Jacksonville State. If I was Kennesaw, I got a rant on Tuesday. I think everyone thinks I'm going to bag on Kennesaw. Kennesaw could have been tough on them all year. They need to start getting some teams lined up, at least like Dixie or something, and start playing some teams because they just have had the worst luck of people sticking with their schedule. Jacksonville State. I mean, we're looking at lost, did not play, lost. Like, Jacksonville State loses, shocker, versus Austin Peay, 13-10 at home. Like, if you're the Gamecocks, they're talking about getting a seed this year and how well they played in the FBS, and they did do that, and we touched on it on one of the shows where Brandon Owens from Cocky Nation was on. They just haven't had that killer instinct. They haven't had that put-away teams instinct. They haven't had that this game was never in doubt. Well, they never felt in doubt, but never like they just absolutely took it to their opponent games. And this one snuck up on them. Austin Peay, a team that many think are on the rise, that's had a lot more success than they're used to the past 2 to 3 seasons. Makes the Ohio Valley weirdly shift now to what to expect out of that conference and whether they'll be able to get 2 teams into the playoffs. Which is kind of the theme of this week, was just playoff disruption. Then we got number 6, North Dakota did not play. Number 5, Sam Houston did not play. South Dakota State technically did not play, but it's my show. I make the rules. They win. Illinois State forfeited. That's how I view it. Congratulations to Jackrabbits. You got a W this week without even stepping foot on the field. Weber State comes away with a Hail Mary with the backup quarterback to beat NAU 28-23 when all hope was lost. So Weber State, a team who felt disrespected. They weren't getting first place votes. They keep getting jumped by teams like North Dakota State, James Madison, North Dakota. Heck, some people even have Sam Houston jumping them. JSU before their loss. And you just sit there and you're Weber and you're like, God, we got to get a win here. And then what do? A team that soon to be top 10 Eastern Washington absolutely throated in Eastern Washington, or in Northern Arizona. Like, this is just, you can't get throttled like this. You can't. It's just, oh, man. NAU was a team that was a ample opportunity for Weber State to just really cement themselves, trying to kind of make that jump to actually be number 1. And this did not do it. In fact, they'll probably get jumped this week. I don't know. Luckily, the 3 teams behind them did not play, so maybe not. And then it's a loss, and then it did not play, and then a loss, and then a loss. But maybe Weber escaped this week. It should have been worse results than it actually ends up being. And then North Dakota State's game against South Dakota, was canceled literally day of. So, wow, that sucks. And then James Madison. Finally looks like James Madison in the first half against William and Mary. Finally a game we wanted, 38-10. I know it's still kind of like, well, it's only 38-10. If you watched any bit of this game, they were in control the entire game and just let off the gas, which when you're already the number 1 team, all the critics like me that have been saying, well, they're not beating people like they should. They shouldn't. It doesn't matter. When you're the number 1 team and you keep winning, you're not going to lose it. They weren't North Dakota State who had a loss and had to make things look better. Like, at the end of the day, James Madison knows if they go undefeated, they're going to be a top 3 team, probably still number 1. And that's what they did. But how wild is that, everybody? That's your FCS overtime. But let me just read through. Number 1, win. Number 2, did not play. Number 3, Hail Mary win. Number 4, did not play. Number 5, did not play. Number 6, did not play. Number 7, loses at home. Number 8, did not play. Number 9, loses at home. Number 10, loses on the road. So you've got 10 teams there. You have 2 that win, 3 that lost, and the math there, was it 5 did not play. So that's just, man, what a crazy week, and it's only going to get crazier. I'm so glad I'm not at the selection committee or do any of the bracketology stuff, because this is going to be an absolute nightmare to try to sort out if you're anybody on the committee. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully next week I'll have my own studio and stuff. I'm purchased a house. I'm going to be building an office, painting out, soundproofing, all that stuff. I'll have my Matt Frazee on, where I got like my little sound closet, some decorations, because right now I've been at my parents' or my brother's childhood bedroom, because I've been back home living with my parents while I moved from Seattle. For those of you that know, I messed this all up. But while I was trying to buy a house, now that has closed, and so I finally get to be back out on my own and finally get a space that I purposely was looking for, something to be able to provide better podcast and etc. content. So thank you guys for tuning in. And next week should be a special one, because I'll be in Pocatello next weekend, plus it's Easter. Maybe I'll record it on Monday, because I think there should still be this, but you guys should be out enjoying Easter, or at least spending a nice spring day with your family if you don't celebrate Easter. But anyways, now I really ranted, and I told you guys this was going to be a rough episode, so just peace.